Until the night Jennifer put a knife through John's chest.
Wives with Knives, all new series premieres Friday, November 23rd at 10, only on Investigation Discovery.
On Femme Fatale Fridays, your guilty pleasure.
Jimmy Michael has risked it all to be together with his wife Shelley. But by 2005, with a lack of chemistry behind the bleachers, the odds are stacked against the football coach and the ex-cheerleader.
When I walked in that house, I could just feel the tension.
Now with Shelley teaming up with her husband's friend Bobby Jordan on a new business venture, it's suddenly a whole new ballgame.
During one of our conversations when Jimmy was talking about the embroidery business, he said that Shelley was going to Chicago on a convention with this Bobby.
They both bought bathing suits. Although it was a business meeting, I guess they were looking for some R&R. Shelley started coming on to him and was being very flirtatious.
Looks like this trip quickly moved from business to pleasure.
And they ended up in bed.
A coach is used to sharing everything with his assistant. But I doubt Coach Jimmy was expecting to be sharing his wife.
When they got back from the trip, they both decided just to kind of keep cool, because they both didn't want their respective partners to find out what had happened.
But the affair gets a second wind a week later, when Jimmy goes away on a hunting trip.
Donuts. On Saturday morning, Bobby came over with some Krispy Kremes for Shelley. Bobby's daughter had been spending the night at Shelley's place with a sleepover with her daughter. And they went straight up to Jimmy's bedroom and ended up making love for a couple of hours while their respective daughters were asleep.
Now that's what I call a morning workout.
That night when Jimmy came back from hunting deer, the four of them, that's Jimmy, Shelley, and Bobby and Kelly, went out together.
If Jimmy only knew what was going on, his trophy deer might not be the only head he'd want to mount on the wall.
I do think he suspected something was going on between Shelley and Bobby.
It seems this social butterfly is flying a bit too close to the flame. A mere 3 days later, things at the Michael home would turn positively explosive.
November 29th, 2005, Shelley gets up early. She kissed Jimmy goodbye because he was still in bed, and then she drove to the hospital. Then around 10:30, she gets a call that the house is on fire, and she tells everyone she has to go and runs out of the hospital.
Shelley arrives home to discover a chaotic scene.
It was just a ton of people. The fire seemed isolated to one particular corner of the house, which appeared to me to be on the second floor.
As firefighters reach the heart of the blaze, they make a horrifying discovery.
Once they ventilated the house a little bit better and they could kind of see what was going on, they confirmed that there was a body lying on the bed in the master bedroom.
Lying in the burned out remains of his home, 33-year-old Jimmy Michael is dead.
I think the way to describe it would be that he had basically burned into the box springs. Everything was kind of one. Everything had melded together.
Jimmy's friends and family rush to the scene when they hear the news.
Shelley said she didn't know what happened. My husband said to her, "Shelley, thank you for loving my son." And she said, "I wish I could have loved him more." And we just thought that was strange.
When I went up to Shelley, I sat down beside her, and before I could say anything, she said to me, "Did you get that outfit at B. Moss?" It was so off the wall, and I was trying to process, what's going on here.
It's the question on everyone's mind as signs immediately point to something beyond a routine fatal fire.
In a fire, especially a fire that burns hot, the muscles contract, and it causes the extremities, the arms and legs, to curl. case, it appeared that Mr. Michael was asleep. And this was a very good indicator that something unusual happened in the fire.
And when the medical examiner weighs in, the detective's suspicions are confirmed.
From the autopsy, we learned that the fire was started after Jimmy Michaels was deceased, which immediately now turns this into a murder investigation.
And there's another surprise in store for investigators.
The lab had found the presence of a paralytic in Jimmy Michaels' blood called rocuronium, and the levels were high enough that this drug would have been fatal and would have killed Mr. Michael.
Rocuronium is a very, very strong muscle paralyzer. It's also used as lethal injection for prisoners.
Once injected, it would have taken Jimmy more than 10 agonizing minutes to die.
It's probably the worst death I could imagine. You're completely conscious and you see and you can hear everything. One by one, all your muscles will close down until finally you're helpless, you're trapped in your own body. You can't fight it. Your body's a prison.
As the investigation into Jimmy's murder picks up, his friends are surprised to see just how much Bobby is comforting the grieving widow.
Shelley took Bobby with her to make arrangements for a memorial service for Jimmy in Morgantown.
It's certainly nice that we have a support system.
And while they were talking to the pastor, Bobby and Shelley were holding hands, and the pastor was very alarmed. He thought there was something wrong. Eventually he wrote to the police and said, you know, they seem more like lovers than friends.
It appears the assistant is eager to take the reins from his old coach. But the question is, who is calling the plays?
During interviews with family and friends, we learned of a conference in Chicago that Bobby and Shelley traveled to 2 weeks before the murder.
And it's only a matter of time before the police break up this little game of two-hand touch.
It made them think this could be the motive for Jimmy's murder. It is the wife having a hot affair with the husband's best friend and employee. That was definitely cause for suspicion.
Next Saturday on the series